Hey there and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing the 3 Lost Loves tag, and this was a really cool video I saw on Josh Jane's channel, and she actually was tagged by the creator of the channel to do this, and I thought it'd be a great idea. I specifically thought it'd be really cool for me to do it because, as you may or may not know, if you've been with me from the beginning, I have kept every single bottle of perfume I've ever owned since my first bottle, which I was like 6 or 7. So I have a full empties bottle collection. I keep them all in a box for now since I haven't quite figured out the setup I'd want in somewhere where I'm going to be more permanently, maybe like my forever home. I'd like to build up something that could showcase them. But for now, I've just always been a very serious perfume collector, so I've kept every single bottle. So I thought it'd be interesting because I can actually show you my 3 Lost Loves. And the added element I'm going to kind of bring to this is I will show you 3 or just other versions that I currently have in my fragrance collection that remind me of one of the 3 Lost Loves, or that just have an overall vibe. They might be close in scent or just close enough for me, because I thought that might be helpful. And yeah, I will put my entire MT's fragrance collection series in a playlist and link it in the description box below. If you never checked that out, it was like one of the first things I ever did, so it's very different, but you can check that out if you'd like. And yeah, let's get into it. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram for more behind the scenes stuff, and we're gonna start with number 1, which is actually a celebrity fragrance that I just always loved. And that is L or Lamb. I think that's what it was. It was like L or Lamb. I always get that. I think it's like Lamb by Gwen Stefani. And from the bottle to the scent, there was just something about it that always stood out to me. This is obviously completely empty. This was like an ombre red, yellow, green glass bottle, and this was like a thicker plastic lid that came on top, and that was kind of in her prime of Lamb. I think this actually, yeah, this just reminds me of, I think I got it around the time when it came out, so it just reminds me of the summers, or like throughout those first few years when I was using it. And it's a really juicy, tropical type fragrance. And for me personally, because I don't like fruity fragrances, aren't my go-to favorite. I do like them. I like pretty much everything in its own way, but if a fruity fragrance stands out to me, I really pay attention because there is something about it that I felt was really beautiful. And even though this has been empty for a very long time, like into the years, I can still smell it on the atomizer, and it doesn't even smell like it's gone bad, which is not the sake for the others you'll see, but it just smells exactly the same. So I can actually even completely speak about it, and I feel like I know what it smells like. It's been discontinued for some time. Every once in a while I see it pop up online, but although I love it and I really enjoyed wearing it, it's actually so dirty and scratched up. I don't know if I would want to pick up a bottle now, if only because I feel as though it's been so many years, and I don't think they were anticipating a celebrity fragrance to last all those years. I just have a feeling that I'm gonna get a bottle and it's gone bad. I don't know why, I can't really explain it, but it has been very many years since it's been in production, and something in my gut just tells me to stay away. But I've always really liked this. If you find a bottle and it hasn't gone bad, I would recommend it. It is just like a juicy, tropical, summery type fragrance. It doesn't smell like sunscreen, but it completely evokes summertime and beachy weather, and yeah, I totally love that. We'll go through the 3 Lost Loves, and then I'll show you my replacements, just in case you're only interested in the Lost Loves themselves. So the second one is very interesting. I'm sure there's a number of you who also bought this, but I think it was in 2009, Benefit Cosmetics came out with these like margarita or cocktail shaker fragrances, and they had a whole series, and this is kind of what they looked like. I had 2 of them, Laugh With Me, LeeLee, and another one. But I remember in Sephora always trying them out, and they were, I don't know, they were like actually pretty popular for being a makeup brand's fragrances that isn't, you know, that well known. It wasn't like Chanel or Dior. It was Benefit, and people you would think wouldn't be that into it, but I remember they were super popular, and I never picked them up at Sephora, and then I found this one and the other one at a Marshalls or a Winners, and I was so excited. And it was around the same time they were still being sold at Sephora, so it wasn't when it got discontinued, and I think it was 2009. So that was like in the first couple of years when I was living on my own for the first time. So it just, I can still smell it on here in the atomizer, and it also hasn't gone bad, which I love, because I remember this was my favorite from the entire range, even at Sephora when all of them were available. I always loved Laugh With Me, LeeLee the most. It is a floral, but it's kind of, it's not powdery, but there is just like an element of softness which might evoke powderiness. I'm not sure, but it's very soft floral, and it smells, I don't know, it's so reminiscent of that time, those years of just being so engrossed and obsessed with makeup and perfume and being like a young adult for the first time and just having a lot of like autonomy. And I don't know, I really loved these fragrances, and they bring back such wonderful memories and such a great memory of, you know, finding it for such a great deal. I forget now, obviously it's been many years, but it was something like $13.99, for example, for these at Marshalls, and it was, you know, still being sold at Sephora for full price. So I really did like that. I was so happy, and I used it for many years actually. And yeah, this is really beautiful. It's been discontinued again for God knows how long, and I don't even think you can find them being sold anymore, like maybe secondhand. But again, as much as I loved it, I wouldn't seek it out, because I feel like even more than Lamb by Gwen Stefani, it's probably gone bad. And then the last one, I can't even smell it in the bottle, which made it harder to choose like dupe versions of this. And this is the hardest one out of the 3 to find a similarity. I loved this fragrance. Also a celebrity fragrance by Kate Moss. This was called Vintage. And this one, you guys, this was one of those 1999 shoppers finds. Again, years and years ago, probably in 2009, 2008, 2009. And I loved it. It was powdery, it was soft. It was one of my first, I don't want to say one of my first powdery fragrances, but it was one of the first that made me like certain that I adore powdery fragrances. And it was just really like effortless and feminine, and not too sweet, but not too I even think people that wouldn't like powdery fragrances because it would get like too baby powdery would like this. It was so beautiful. And I can barely, I mean, it's just like the hint of the fragrance is there. I truly can't get anything, and obviously it's completely empty, which is a real shame. But I have never found this again. I never found it at Shoppers. I haven't found it online. Granted, I haven't seeked it out too much, but I would actually repurchase this because I feel like it probably has lasted pretty well. And I know there's a Vintage Muse, which I've never tried, but that one is supposed to be way different, and it's got blackcurrant and it's a purple bottle. So it's vintage, just the original vintage, the one that I liked. And yeah, I really do like this. I completely recommend it. I think again, it's 99.9% discontinued, and that's why it's you can't find it anywhere. But this has been my favorite of the Kate Moss fragrances I've ever tried. I've only tried 2 or 3, but I was checking online and she actually does have a whole bunch that I never knew about. So that one's hands down my favorite. All right, so now kind of replacements, or ones that I feel like give me enough of that vibe that I'm happy with it in my collection. So for Lamb, I chose Holidays by Mancera, and there is definitely a difference in fragrance, like a noticeable difference in the fragrance. I would say Lamb is a lot more juicy of a summery fragrance, whereas Mancera isn't as, it's sweet, but it's a little softer, a little more creamy, and this is a little more tart and juicy. I feel like what's Miami Glow is also a great one, and I was gonna pick that one by JLo, but that's also been discontinued. So I wanted to pick a fragrance that is readily available, and I know a lot of you have a hard time finding that. So that one has a juiciness to its beachiness, and so does this one. It's a lot better of a match in terms of that element, but Mancera, yeah, it's a really good fragrance in that it completely evokes summery vibes, beachy weather, and just like the heat and the water and sweet fruit, but this is a lot more creamy, and both of them have that quality where it doesn't smell like suntan lotion and yet it's completely summery. So this is very readily available, and that's what I have as part of my collection. It's actually relatively new to my collection, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. So for Laugh With Me LeeLee, this is actually a pretty good scent dupe, and I cannot believe that I never realized it, but I was smelling them next to one another, and Boucheron Fleurs is a really good match. Again, it's hard to make a complete match because this doesn't spray anymore. It's obviously empty, but from the atomizer, it's a little bit sweeter, and there is some type of fruitiness in this, and I'm not sure what it is. It's a tad sweeter, but they're both watery, soft florals, and you guys already know I love Boucheron Fleurs. I think it's just criminally underrated, honestly, and it comes very close to Laugh With Me LeeLee. It is readily available. It's under $40 for the large 100 ml, and it lasts a long time. It has great sillage. I just love it, and it's such a good mix. It is so close that I could not believe it, but it makes sense because I love both of those fragrances and they were instant loves for me, so it makes sense that they're super similar. So yeah, that one was a great match. And then finally for Vintage by Kate Moss, I've read online, and I've never tried this one, and I'm beating myself up that I never did, but I read online that a lot of people think Vintage by Kate Moss actually reminds them of L'Instant Magique, or L'Instant Magique, I think that's what it is, by Guerlain, and I've never tried that one. And then when I went to go check the Canadian websites I usually buy from, it sold out on both. So that one's also discontinued, and I see that it's available on FragranceNet and FragranceX and everything, so maybe if I order from them again from the States, then I will pick that one up. But I definitely have it on my radar now because some people said it reminds them of that, and if I can get my hands on it, then I definitely will. But the closest I could get is kind of like a combination of these two, which is L'Instant de Guerlain and Cashmere Aura, because I feel like Cashmere Aura brings the clean powderiness of Vintage, and it's probably much more of Cashmere Aura than L'Instant de Guerlain, because L'Instant de Guerlain is like a very sweet powdery, and it's a lot more sweet than what I remember Vintage being, but maybe it's like 70% this, 30% this in terms of layering would be the closest I would have in my collection to coming to kind of creating Vintage by Kate Moss. Again, I wish I could smell it. If I ever find this again, I think I would pick it up again. I remember really liking it. But maybe instead of repurchasing this, I'll pick up L'Instant Magique by Guerlain and try that one out, just so I'm trying out a new fragrance. So yeah, that is the last one. I hope you enjoyed. As always, don't forget to leave me in the comments what you guys thought, which one of these you liked, which one you'd like to try. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!